So hello and welcome. My name's Steve Nobel. Today I'm speaking with David Manning on holding space, Covid-19 and the Christ story. So David has worked in the field of consciousness and expanded awareness for 30 years. He has a grounded, compassionate, no-nonsense approach to the path of expansion we're all embarked on. He is an energetic interpreter and translator of fields and energies at the collective and personal level. He works with large people in teleconferences, clearing some deeper patterning that we hold, and at the same time his work involves opening up to receiving multidimensional downloads that are perpetually available. Hi David.
Morning. Hi Steve. Nice to see you again.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say, in that introduction you said he works with large people. I just wanted to say that's meant to be large groups of people.
It's so early in the morning. I've just had my first cup of tea. Apologies for that. Large groups of people. Yeah.
Large groups of people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh dear, that wasn't a good start, was it? All right, so today we're looking at what's going on, and the hot potato, I suppose, is the coronavirus. The world is changing. We are going through a global shift. How do you see this virus as part of this global shift, David?
It's strange, isn't it? But back in December, my birthday was on December the 7th, and I was having a party here in my home, and before everything was set for the party, the lights were on, the food was sorted, and nobody was here, just me. And I was sitting meditating, and I was told everything changes now. Nothing is going to be the same. I knew that was a personal thing, and a lot did shift over the next few days, but it was also collective, that we were heading into then the solstice and that big January the 12th, Pluto, whatever it was, Pluto conjunct, I'm not an astrologer, but it was a big astrological event, and bingo, we find ourselves in this extraordinary place of transformation. And I don't think, you hear a lot of people on the television or on the news talking about getting back to normal. I don't think there is a normal that we're getting back to. I don't think there's been a normal on this planet for a long time. So the fabric of reality as we know it is tearing apart, I think, and a lot of the weaknesses are being shown, a lot of the strengths are being shown, and what is truly important is coming to light. We placed a lot of emphasis, certainly in this country and perhaps in the USA, on profit before anything else. Now that's been shown to be a disastrous policy in terms of when the shit hits the fan, as it is now. And I think the virus, in a sense, is a cover for the deeper story that is this extraordinary shift in consciousness that has been underway on this planet for a long time now. And this is where the rubber meets the road, in a sense, and you have to really be living what we have been training for ages now. We've done the workshops, we've read the books, we've done the processing, we've done the healing. Now we've got to really start living it. And a lot of people are finding themselves in a time of lockdown where they're having to withdraw from our regular activities, and that can be an extraordinary blessing because it gives us this time to focus on what is it we want. And this was a question I was asked the other day when I was walking. My team, my guidance system was asking me, what is it you want? What is it you want? Get very clear on what it is you want. And I got home and meditated, and there were all of the human wants up there. I want my house to be sorted, I want the garden, I would quite like a new car because mine is really old, all of those sorts of things, and all of that was fine. But as I drilled down into that question, what I found that I met, and it took a while, just to move through all of these different layers, and I was surprised what I found underneath it all was, I just want to be, I almost hesitate to say it, I wanted to be, I found the deepest wanting was to be a pillar of light, to be holding space, in a sense, allowing these extraordinary frequencies that are downloading all the time now, and uploading too, because the Earth is in her massive transformational process, and she is emitting new frequencies that I think are the seeds of new realities. And I believe it's our job as people on a conscious path of transformation, to be anchoring those frequencies, weaving them, spinning them into the new seeded realities for the birth of a new world that I I really do believe we're moving into. So,
Yeah. Do you think this is an acceleration of the process, or just part of the whole? It was always going to be something like this.
I think there was probably always going to be something like this because we're such a, with billions of people, we're never all going to be in the same place energetically or at the same level of evolution. And that's not what this planet is about, is it? It's a place of really steep learning curves, and this is another one of those. The bigger questions, I think, that are really useful to get clear on now, what is your relationship with death? Because we've got a weird relationship with death on this planet, and we've become very frightened of it. And now we're seeing we've got, care homes stuffed full of old people who, left to their own devices, would have died a while ago, been kept alive far longer than is perhaps wise even. And this virus is moving through and sorting that out. I mean, ending people's lives very quickly. I'm not saying that's good or bad. It's just that our relationship with death, where we hold on to life beyond any reasonable quality of life, is ridiculous. So we have to get very clear about what death is. And my understanding, and I've come close to it on several occasions, is that it is just a transition. There is no such thing as death. We don't die. The body does, but we don't. And we dip in and out of this reality and other realities in the course of our ongoing existence. But there is no end to our existence. And here on this planet, we've been disconnected from that awareness really quite effectively. And so that creates a lot of fear. And so it's important, I think, for everyone to get real about their relationship with death, because it is a big underlying fear that stimulates a lot of very weird activity when we're faced with a crisis like this. But if you're relatively at peace with letting go of the body and moving into another dimension, things can be very different. It all becomes a very different experience because you're not triggered by that deep, deep fear of, I've got to survive,
Yeah. Well, let me ask you, I was going to bring it in later, but let me ask you about the kind of Easter story, the Christ story, because this really is a story of death and resurrection, isn't it, I suppose, and on the cross and then out of the tomb on the Monday morning. In my own journey, I turned my back on Christianity, but I found that over all my explorations, including shamanism and Wicca, I found it all came back to the story or the essential message of that time, which seems to be as relevant as now, although I can never connect with the church. But this story of death and rebirth, that kind of ties in a lot with what you're saying, David.
I think so. I mean, that's an archetypal journey, isn't it, that we all face. And when we embark on a conscious journey of spirituality, conscious exploration, we become aware of that archetypal journey. And so now we're doing it collectively, I think. A lot of what is unnecessary and not vital to our societies is being shown to be that. And I think a lot of that stuff will collapse. And we're being returned to basics, to what really is vital. Our lives are simplifying to a massive degree. And that's a death process. And when there is a death process, there is automatically a period perhaps of confusion, of grieving, of uncertainty, before there is a rebirth that happens quite naturally, and we can't push or force that. This timing is not ours. The timing is cosmic in a sense. Yeah. Our deeper or higher selves know that timing, but the personality self is somewhat disconnected usually from an awareness of that timing. But just the other day, I was aware. I woke up and felt very much the energy of renewal, and this, I guess, it was over the Easter weekend. We're Tuesday now, and I thought, yeah, there really is this energy in the air. And something else that has really struck me is, I mentioned the fabric of reality earlier, but there is this sense, often when I'm meditating or off in daydreaming, there are cracks appearing in the fabric, in the woven fabric of reality. And, excuse me, a lot of what we experience as reality is a manufactured reality. And now, as I say, that fabric is being pulled apart, and a lot of people are experiencing it as more light. But in a sense, it's a more vital reality that underpins the world we've created, and that's starting to shine through. It's very available, but you have to get quiet and still to notice it. You have to have a relative level of emptiness to be able to really contact that. And that's the spiritual work that we are encouraged to do all the time, dealing with your wounds, your emotions, learning how to meditate and process the emotional body, in a sense, so that you have a relative amount of clarity in your personal field, so you can connect with the clarity that's also becoming very available, because it is right there, and it's always been right there. Now, from my perspective, it's sort of dissolving the woven, manufactured fabric of reality that we have thought is, this is really important for our life. A lot of that stuff, as I say, is dissolving and falling apart, and we're recognizing, what is actually important is love and care and integrity and trust, along with the basics like food and shelter, of course. But those are the things, the people now that are being valued as more important than the bankers and the politicians are the care workers and the people that have been the least valued in society, the nurses, the care workers, those that are really on the front line, putting themselves at risk at this time.
That's a big turnaround, isn't it? Particularly here in Britain with Brexit, where they're starting saying about immigrants, you have to earn over 25,000 to come in, and most key workers in the NHS are under that. Well, let me ask you, because you mentioned something earlier which struck me, which was many of us have been in training for this time a long time, and I know you've been doing for, I won't say how many years, at the College of Psychic Studies, and I was at Alternatives training, and a lot of people in their own way have been on this spiritual path training, and so we're in a world where there's a number of, I don't know how many starseed light workers there are out there, let's say a couple of million maybe, and then there's the rest, the kind of mass consciousness. And in a way, the star seeds have this kind of dream of a new world, and the mass consciousness is focusing on, Hollywood and their, dystopian energies they're putting out, or, Armageddon type of energies. So how is it? We've got these two kind of groups in a way, I can see it that way. One, this kind of seed group, and one, the other group, just focusing on what hasn't worked, what's terrible, what's wrong. And just to highlight that, I was walking in the park the other day, and there was a little bottleneck, and in this bottleneck people were kind of jostling, and one woman stood to one side in the bushes with a dog and a young child and shouted at us as we passed, "I don't want to die." And the person walking with me said, "Well, bless you, don't worry, you're going to be okay." But she was really like, ah. For me, there are people who are kind of chilled and it's okay what's going on, there's a new world taking place, and we've got this spiritual connection, and there's a lot of other people who are watching the news, and in the spiritual world, I suppose, also watching conspiracy theories and being taken down all kind of rabbit holes. So what do you think about this kind of two-layered mass creation of consciousness?
I think it's a bit more than two layers, as you say, a lot of people who believe themselves to be awakened and are focusing on the conspiracy theories. Well, reading a lot of conspiracy theories is not being awakened. That's just being aware that there's other agendas playing out on this planet. Awakened is when you have done a lot of work, inner work, to process, to bring to rest the polarities that exist inside each of us, so that you have easy access to peace, in effect. And when you have it internally, you also find it externally much, much more easily. Now the world is going, a bit crazy now, so there's a lot of fear in the collective. I was cycling the other day, and people were, some of the pedestrians were terrified. You could see terror on their faces at people passing reasonably close to them. This idea of, I'm going to catch it.
Yeah.
I don't know how this plays out. Years ago, when I was asking, about 25 years ago, and I was very focused, because then, early on in my journey, there were a lot of theories on how this was going to end, and there were going to be huge earth changes and earth shifts and a lot of people dying and all of this sort of thing. And I was asking, then how is this going to work out? And what I saw was an image of the Earth floating in the cosmos, and then it split into two Earths and the two went in different directions. One started to dim and the other became brighter. And then years later I came across the work of Dolores Cannon and her regression, her amazing hypnotherapy work where she regressed people, and that again was something that was coming out very strongly in that work. I don't know how that works. What I do know is that I have been made aware that we are in a time of sorting, and that the sorting is frequency-based, it's dimensional. It's about the dimensions you inhabit, in effect. And so there are a lot of people talking about, you have to keep your frequency, your vibration high. You can only do that by clearing the low-frequency stuff that each of us has. Fears, wounds, old patterning, ancestral stuff, karmic stuff. By clearing that. And that takes work. It's much, much easier to do that now than it was 20, 30 years ago, because the energies available to support that work are quite amazing. So my sense is that there is some dimensional separation going on, and I was very aware of it last summer. But I don't know how that plays out at a collective level. I really don't. And so I'm sort of quite fascinated to see how this works. Maybe we, as this group of star seeds or light workers, or whatever term you want to use, are here simply to download amazing amounts of frequency into this planet to create and sow the seeds for a new world. But we don't get to see that. Maybe we're talking not geological times, but much bigger time scales than we've assumed. People are thinking in the next 10 years it's going to happen. I don't know that that's the case. I think we're talking much, much longer time scales here than we have led ourselves to believe. So maybe it doesn't all become a wonderful world of light within the next 15, 20 years. Who knows? I think there's a lot of sorting and a lot of chaos unfolding here, and it's our role, in a sense, to access that piece, to ground those frequencies, and to hold space for the unfolding that is happening, recognizing that if you're doing that, you become much less pervious, you become much less porous to those other really fearful frequencies that are thick in the atmosphere at the moment.
Yeah. Let me ask you about holding space. I know in your newsletter I read, holding space requires a degree of neutrality so that we will anchor ourselves in that and hold it as a frequency. It's easy once you know how. And that's my question. It's easy once you know how. Is there any advice you can give someone listening to this going, well, I'd like to know, how do I do it? How would someone hold space?
Well, firstly, as I say, I think the most important thing is that we do the work of clearing our own field.
Yeah.
The work of purifying, or and clarifying the field, dealing with the wounds, dealing with your emotional issues, all of that sort of stuff. We know that is the drudgery of the work of the spiritual path. It just has to be done. There isn't really a way around that. But there are extraordinary levels of support now from the non-physical realms who are willing to massively assist us, so to do a lot of the clearing work with us so that it happens very, very much quicker now. But also there are these frequencies of neutrality that are available if we are available to them. So again, meditation is a key here, just a willingness to sit still and quiet and allow yourself. Sometimes we have that idea that you have to still your mind. I think for a lot of us that's not really possible. It's never been particularly possible for me, but I have a way where I can drop underneath the chattering mind, so it's as if that's happening in another room and I'm dropping into different levels of my inner space, and in that then I start to communicate with other dimensions, other energy fields, and there are these amazing energies and frequencies that are available to flow through us. So, to put it simply, it's about accessing higher dimensions of energy, which are very available to flow through us into this dimension. And we are totally equipped. This is what the human energy field is an energy transmitter, an energy transducer, an energy receiver. That's what we are, and I think that's a big part of our role at this time, is to be accessing and downloading those frequencies for this shift that is happening. I think that this is what we committed, or why we committed to being on this planet at this time, and I think that for a lot of us, that commitment was weighed many thousands of years, so we've had many rounds of incarnation, but a lot of us I had an experience at the beginning of the year when I could see this starting to grow. It was as if there was a light switch flipped on somewhere deep in my field, and I felt as if, this is what I incarnated for. All of the other stuff has been training and practice for now. And I think a lot of people are feeling something similar. We don't know how it's going to play out, but we know we are here to do something. That doing something, I would suggest at the moment, is frequency-based rather than activity-based. Do that by accessing these energies and holding them.
Could you say something about your work and your upcoming events? And I'll give you a website at the end of the podcast.
Yeah, I've just got a new website that's just recently launched, so check that out. There's a big free section on that website where people can dive in and work with some of the teleconferences that I offer. My work is I do one-to-one energy work, either in half-hour or hour-long sessions, and that clears a terrific amount from somebody's field very, very quickly, because there's this, what I term now, a field of grace that transmits through this field and really helps to dismantle a lot of patterning very, very quickly. And then that makes space for other aspects of us to download or upload or become present in this reality. But the primary work is the teleconferences I offer, and those are usually 2, 3, currently 4 times a month. I haven't got the next one up on the website, but it will be there very soon. And they take place over the weekend, and we gather as a group in a field all over the world. And I think people are recognizing the potency of field dynamics now, that we used to hold frequencies in temples for the planet, thousands of years ago. Now we get to do that and create our own temples in the ethers, in a sense, simply by coming together as groups and intending to create potent fields of energy. And I think more and more people, as more people are working remotely and connecting remotely, this is a powerful tool of transformation that we are awakening to now. So that's a lot of the work I do, is the teleconferences where we come together in large groups. We work through a theme, an energetic theme, and do a lot of deep energy work for the individuals, but it's also then offered back to the planet as a template that gets inserted into the planetary matrix, if you like.
Brilliant. And David's website is davidmanningenergywork.com. There will be a link with this podcast. David, it's always a pleasure.
Thank you, Steve. It's great to talk with you always. I really appreciate the opportunity to connect in this way with you and your audience.